Hey everyone, it is Sunday night. It is the beginning of May. We've reached May 1st and hockey, NHL hockey playoffs are here, which is what this video is really going to be about as I discuss all the work I've done to prepare for the matchups and projections for the hockey playoffs. A sport I play, a sport I enjoy. Anyway, we'll talk about hockey. I just wanted to glance at baseball real quick because I didn't do anything. This is the first day that I wasn't really following baseball at all. And already it's like 11-3 apparently. And if the Mets win and they're up 6-4, then it ends up being 12-3 with the top 8 picks winning. If for those of you who maintain this file on your own, I want to know if you guys got a similar thing. I didn't even update all the stats yet too, so it might even have gotten better or worse actually. But for those of you who maintain today, if this is what you got, I'd like to hear about that in the comments. So that's baseball. But let's talk about hockey. So, guess what I did in the NHL algorithm? Which, by the way, this is only $25. If you want to predict hockey games, this thing, I'm pretty sure this thing is like unbelievably awesome and has been for a while. I haven't gotten any comments really recently about hockey, even though I've done some videos, but just from following, I'm pretty sure it's done pretty awesome when it's had to. Well, I added some functionality to this version so that we can do some simulations with different goaltenders. So right now, if you just look at what it's presenting, it says the number one pick of the next 2 days. We're looking at the next 2 days here. The very start. This is game 1 of all of the series. So it says that the number one pick is Florida over my Washington Capitals. Now, I put Vitek Vanacek in this goalie slot to create this projection. All right. Now, we can in this version of the file, simply go through the names here, and I sorted the names and the goalies in a smart enough way that whenever you click the drop-down arrow for any of the goaltenders, you get the other goaltenders that are on that team right around the name. So there's Phoenix Copley, and then there's Ilya Samsonov, or however you want to say it. Now, if you put Samsonov in there instead, his goalie rating I think was slightly better? No, slightly worse by 1%. If you put him in there, and then you can go back to the pivot, this game was 5.1 to 2.4. Now it's 5.2 to 2.3. Really, it's basically a wash with the goaltenders, and that's kind of, I think, the way that the Caps have felt about the goaltenders is both of them have showed really signs of being good goaltenders, and both of them have had issues. They are fully on both sides of the coin with both goaltenders right now. And Washington, with Ovechkin, I don't know playing or not. Let's look at the injury report. Let's sort the injury report by team, because that is how we can most effectively look at this. And let's start by looking for all the Washington players. What we have on here down at the bottom is Carl Hagelin, long-term DL or long-term. Snively, local guys, Snively, I don't know what's wrong with him. Cole Perfetti, I don't recognize that name. Oh, sorry, we're on Winnipeg already. Ovechkin, upper body, day-to-day, says might return for the game on Tuesday. Regardless of whether or not he returns, he can't possibly be 100%. It looks like he separated a shoulder or hopefully didn't break a collarbone or something. I think they would have said something if it was a broken collarbone, but he's a tough guy. But either way, he ain't going to be winding up with huge one-timers because, it's too soon still. He's insane, but it's still too soon. So you have to consider him not being 100% in that game. Now, if you put him back in the game, actually, at 100%, which you can do by removing him from this list. Yeah, if we just remove his name from this list, let's see if anything happens to the score. It was 5.2 to 2.3. Now he adds 0.2 and takes away 0.2 from Florida if you were to add him in there. So that's interesting in how the algorithm actually reacts to one player's injury. That's good to see that it's working. So, all right. All that being said, I just showed you how we can change goaltenders here. If it's Samsonov or it's Vanacek, we don't know yet. These are my guesses. These are my guesses on who the best goaltenders are for the most part. So what does it result in? which you quickly browse through everything. You've got Florida at number 1, unfortunately. Calgary at number 2 over Jake Ottinger, who I assume will be playing net. Okay, this game is 5-2-ish. I have a lot of respect for Ottinger and net. His score is good, but Calgary just extremely strong. Just really, really, really strong. And so it likes Calgary. If you have goaltender changes here, let's say they don't go with Ottinger and they go with Wedgwood, okay, what happens then? The answer is it's even worse. It's more destruction. So it is better to go with Ottinger, and I think they will. I think Holtby's on there too. What about Calgary? Is Markstrom? Who else does Calgary? Vladar. What if Vladar is starting? Then, wow, much closer game. Really, it's actually it's the closest game looking at the list if you play Vladar against Ottinger instead of Markstrom. That's how much respect it gives to Markstrom. So it's one of those things to pay attention to goaltenders because it really matters. As I have a sip of my coffee for a second here. Ooh. All right, so that's super interesting. So you got Florida, you got Calgary with these goaltending matchups if Markstrom goes. What's the third pick? It's Carolina. I just spilled the coffee all over myself. You know, if you've watched my videos, I've done that more than one time. Let me just grab. This coffee not that hot though, so I'm not screaming in pain. I'm just making sure that I have a computer like off to the side, making sure I'm not frying the computer with coffee. Let me wipe off the laptop of danger getting wiped off. No, I don't want to do that. I want to clean this off. We don't pause videos here. No, we don't do that. We just power through it. All right, we're good. Coffee. Let me get some more paper towels. There's just so much coffee on the ground. There's a lot of coffee. All right. While we clean up the coffee. All right, let's get back here. So there was Carolina. We're in wet, hot coffee-ridden Carolina. And let's get that coffee. I'm actually going to get cold because I've just covered all my shorts just covered in coffee. Okay, we're back. Sort of. Carolina and Boston. How close of a game score-wise, though? It's the third pick, yet the adjusted power favors Boston. So funky stuff going on in this game. And that's Swayman versus Anderson. Well, what happens if what if you throw Ullmark in there? What happens then? Even closer game. So this going to be a dogfight. And I kind of suspected that too. Carolina's been playing good, yet I just don't respect them as much as I respect Florida, Tampa Bay, Colorado, and Calgary, and even St. Louis to an extent. I don't trust this team yet. I want to, but I think that's going to be extremely close. And I'm surprised that the algorithms even put it the third pick of the day, but never listen to me. Always listen to the algorithm. 4, Edmonton over LA. Boy, is Edmonton going to win it. Is Mike Smith going? I don't even know the answer to that. But they say if he does, that it likes this game and it likes Edmonton putting up goals against LA. Big, huge power. I don't understand why this isn't more of a pick than Carolina over Boston. I don't get that. Who else could go instead of Mike Smith? Koskinen? What would happen then? It would be even better. Wow. It would be even better. And then LA, it's got to be quick, right? They don't have anybody else. I think Garrett Sparks. Is that an LA guy? Yeah, that's a joke if Sparks goes. So it's got to be quick. And it's probably going to be, this is going to be obviously a mixture of Smith and Koskinen. And I think you can see that given that Koskinen's rating is slightly better than Smith, that they may end up start gravitating if Smith has any trouble. I think you can see Edmonton moving this around. This is a team that has to win. This team's got to break off. This team hasn't won in a while. McDavid and Draisaitl. This team really, really desperately needs a playoff series win. So I think they are going to want it, and I get that there. So then, what else you got? You got Rangers in Pittsburgh. Rangers number 5 with Shesterkin in net. Yep, winning 3-1, 3-2 type games, 4-1 type games. That is very, very, very believable if Shesterkin plays the way he plays. Now, is Jerry hurt? I thought that Jerry was hurt. Let's look at Pittsburgh injuries. He's out, so it can't be Jerry. So I put that in there because I'm wrong. So who's it going to be? Who do they have? It's going to be Casey DeSmith. It's going to be Casey DeSmith, and what does that do? That puts it more in the favor of the Rangers. Rangers go up to a number 2 pick against Casey DeSmith, who's probably going. Now, what happens if, unfortunately, Shesterkin can't go for some reason? And you got to throw in Georgiev. Can the Rangers still win? Barely. Barely in some overtime winners, 4-3 or 5-4 or something. Wow. So that's going to be a fun series. Rangers probably, and I would enjoy seeing. They've got the advantage though. So it's an 8. No, oh sorry, we got to get Georgiev out of there. Why didn't Shesterkin get fixed? Because then refresh. Sorry, refresh. Yeah, put Shesterkin back in there. 2 pick with Shesterkin going up against DeSmith. Wow. All right. And then what else we got? Because we just kind of skipped picks a little bit. There's Colorado and Nashville. Wow. Why so close? Because Colorado's been playing poorly toward the end of the season. That doesn't mean crap. I'd look more at this right here. 5-2, Kemper versus Saros. If Rittich goes, Nashville should get hurt even more. Yeah, it's not a contest if it's Rittich. It's got to be Saros, not Corey Schneider. It's got to be Saros. And then Kemper, what is the Colorado goaltending situation? Who do they have? I don't know. Is it Francouz or Korpisalo? No, Korpisalo is Columbus. See if that works. No, it can't be. I love how the percentage doesn't work if it's the wrong tier. I don't know who Justice Anunin is, but that guy's probably not going. Pavel Francouz is the other. Yeah. So if Francouz goes instead of Kemper, it's a higher scoring game, but it picks Nashville because of their streak. I don't trust it. Says they can beat Francouz somehow. That is unexpected. But yeah, goaltending matters a lot in the playoffs, so I'm not surprised to see that. But Colorado, it's actually really close, even with Darcy Kemper. That's the surprise. Look at that minus 303. That minus 303 is I mean, they have an 80% strength. I mean, don't look at the pick rank so much. Close. All right, what else? What game did we miss? We missed a game. St. Louis, and we missed 2 games. Tampa Bay and Toronto. Tampa Bay and Toronto likes Tampa Bay. I agree. Underdog line. Vasilevsky versus Campbell. Is there anybody other than Jack Campbell who might go for Toronto? Kallgren. If Kallgren goes, this gets worse. And Tampa Bay wins even more. So it should be Campbell. Vasilevsky's got to be going for Tampa Bay. Otherwise, Brian Elliott would do what? Brian Elliott would cause still a slight victory, but now all of a sudden they're going to overtime in 4-4 type games with Elliott going, so it's really got to be obviously Vasilevsky who's a champion. So that's Tampa Bay at a good line. St. Louis and Minnesota. St. Louis outscoring Marc-Andre Fleury. Believable. Look at these lower goalie ratings. The pick rank favors Minnesota because they've been playing excellent, but St. Louis has been not really coasting into the playoffs, but they've got a team, and you can see the adjusted power in St. Louis favors it. So this thing flips when you look at recent streaks, but this is playoffs, and this is a whole new ball game, and I almost want to ignore all this stuff over here because streaks don't really matter in the playoffs other than what your injuries are showing. So it does have St. Louis. Now, what happens if you move Ville Husso out? And because they have Bennington, they have a true goaltending comparison of two goalies that might play. Now they're losing higher scoring games is what's happening. And this adjusted power, you're seeing a lot of overtime and a lot of high scoring games if you go with Bennington. And other than Marc-Andre Fleury, there is still Cam Talbot there, or is he hurt? Let's look at the injury report on Minnesota real fast. And there's no goalie hurt. I think Cam Talbot is healthy. He's just, they're turning the ring over to Marc-Andre Fleury to see if he can win a championship. Talbot wins this game against Bennington, but does Talbot win this game against Ville Husso? I suspect not. Bet it's closer, but it is closer in score, and the algorithm's giving more credit to Talbot over Marc-Andre Fleury. So you can pick off a couple series where you can potentially predict some goalie changes happening throughout the series. I think Minnesota is one of them. I think Edmonton might be one of them with Mike Smith, and move into who the other goalie was on Edmonton. I can't remember. Is there anywhere else where you might see that? Well, Washington, you might have that, obviously. I think that's part of the playoff plan, is almost to have that. Coming up after a loss, you might get a new goaltender, I suspect. And Kepper needs to play well here. That's about it. So that's a really extensive view. So what does it say for who wins all the series? I don't have the actual bracket set up, even though I did create a file that does the bracket years ago, but I just haven't broken it out yet. I don't know, whatever. It's nobody really does it like the March Madness bracket. Nobody even did the March Madness bracket that much this year. So it says that this series right here actually can go to Boston or Carolina. It cannot make a call in this series because of this. It can't do it. So, it's really tough because adjusted power is favoring Boston, but score is favoring Carolina. So it's a conflict, and I would say you don't bet this game because it doesn't know who's going to win it. You bet anybody plus 1.5 because it's so close. Tampa Bay and Toronto. It says Tampa Bay clearly wins the series, and that Toronto goes home. I totally agree with that, 100%. I've been saying it for a while. I think Toronto, even though Toronto, they look solid here. I don't know. From watching them win under pressure, I still think they're going to choke. And Tampa Bay won't. And the algorithm predicts point-wise that defense wins overall here, and they win that series. St. Louis over Minnesota. If Husso plays well and stays, there are ifs. I do think St. Louis can beat Minnesota, but it's an extremely close series. Edmonton gets through the first round. They get through the first round because the strength of LA, whether it's due to injuries or what, is just not here. And they have a goaltending change they might have to go through, but they're going to win this series. That's what it thinks. Rangers are actually going to walk over Pittsburgh because Jerry is out. And I don't know if he's out for the entire playoffs, but if he stays out, the Rangers walk in that series. If Shesterkin plays well, stays healthy. Florida beats Washington. It doesn't matter which goaltender it is. They're vying for a cup, and they look really, 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 really strong. Unfortunately, I hate to say that, but that is the way that looks. Colorado beats Nashville, but I keep saying it's closer than you think, and it's weird that it is. So we got to keep an eye on that. And it's because Saros' goalie rating is extremely high. Nashville's got spoiler potential. I was hearing a stat about Nashville making the playoffs so many consecutive seasons in a row, and that doing that across all sports is actually very rare, and it's true. They're always there, and there's a reason why they're always there. Roman Josi is apparently one of the reasons. But this game, this series, closer than this score is saying, and I smell something more closer to the pick rank in terms of how close this is. And the other series, as much as I like Ottinger, Calgary is supposedly just juggernaut strong here. And you can see how, when you look at the Colorado, you see how Nashville's a 57% and Dallas is only a 52%. So even though Colorado's an 80 and Calgary's 2 percentage points lower, the difference here is greater. And so Calgary walks over Dallas somehow, even though they haven't been playing that great. So that's the look, guys. I don't know how many videos I'll be doing, but I always like to do a shot of the day once in a while, especially out playing hockey or whatever. So there will be some playoff updates, but that's a really good look at the first round and the goaltending matchup. And you can buy this thing for $25. Go ahead if you enjoyed this and you want to help out, want me to continue to do videos and stuff. Go do something like buy this, because you can not only use it, but it also supports what I'm doing. All right, good luck. May all your picks be winning.